Hey, what's up? Thanks for checking out another episode of Brutal Self-Defense. Today I'm going to show you guys how to do the uppercut. So now you should have some of the basics down, like your footwork, your jab, right? Because we're going to be talking about it in combination as well. But let's go over the basic movement pattern itself first. So I'm going to assume a normal right boxing position here. And if you haven't seen that, about the stance, then please check out the other video. So, okay, and I'm also going to assume that our opponent is in this stance. Now, they may have different styles, like whatever, right? And you can make adjustments for it. But, just assume that they're like this for now. So, okay, when we throw our jab, remember it comes out front. And remember that we're taking the step with this leg here, right? So we have this motion here. Now the footwork is the same. Off the left, now the right one is going to be just the same step here. But in this case, right, we're going to make a little difference in that we're going to come down, right? Our upper body comes down. And notice that the whole unit on the top stays together, right? It stays together. It's not like this. It's not like this or, anything like that. It comes down together as one unit. This does not change, yeah? You can also, by the way, use this sometimes to clear out, if they're going for the midsection. So you come down here, then, okay, let's do this in slow motion so you guys can see. My hip rocks up, and it should come together. In this case, I'm doing this motion first so you can see it. It comes down, right? And then it's translating into this motion where the top is now torquing. So you get two torques. Yeah, you get one in the hip, and then you get another motion from the shoulder right here. And you can see my whole body's driving into it. Ideally, I'm taking the step with the thing, so I'm really propelling my force into it. Let's take a look at that from the side. So the thing is that I'm having my shot here, right? Normally I step with the thing, I step with the thing here, the same type of thing, but now I come and I come up. Another mistake that a lot of people make in the beginning is that they don't reach out enough with their uppercut. So they have this very kind of like up here, and they don't really get the range out of it. So you want to make sure that you practice throwing out. Yeah, out. So that's the rear hand uppercut, which is probably the most often thrown. Yeah. Once again, you're coming up, and then you come through. Yeah. Now we can see on the target, it's going to come up through, right, through their guard. They may be like this. We'll talk about like different, but you can still just power through it, right? If you're hitting with your whole body, even though they have their hand down, you should be able to like push through, or even pin their hand, or just hit their hand, right? In general, you can hit their hand here, lock it in, right? And then you have all this open for like the different kinds of attacks, right? So if I have my right arm, right, pinning their left arm here, yeah, then I can have an open, like maybe shot with a hook, yeah? So I come down, I grab them there, right? That like pins the arm, and I rock in over, right, to get him in the knockout zone and knock him out. I could also try to clear, right, that arm out the way, and then try to shoot him for like a liver shot right there. Yeah, or maybe even if I see them breathing in, right, then I can pop them right in the solar plex. That'll be, we'll talk about, when the person breathes in, then they're a better target for, when they get hit, they're more likely to lose their breath. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at now, we covered the rear uppercut. Let's talk about the forward uppercut, yeah, or the forward hand uppercut. And that's a little different right there, okay? So the thing is that, remember with this one, we come down and we can torque the whole body into the attack. Now, notice that, I just want to add at this point, that you should not be, when you're in the motion, right, you should not do this and then this. That's too slow, yeah? You want to really, the whole thing should be actually as fast as you can, moving all together to come out like this. If anything, you should be throwing this hard, this maybe even this hand faster than the hip. That's not ideal, right? Because you want the part to come from the hip, yeah, the initial motion. But if this one can even strike out even faster and you're pushing yourself past that point, right, which is actually very good, you also want to, the thing is that once you make contact, right, the hip is still traveling, so you're getting more momentum being pushed into the punch right there. So you have a little bit more oomph behind it as you make contact, you know, and this is still driving. So that would be ideal. Okay, so that's why this travels a little bit behind, right? If you're making contact, it will sync up when that leg comes behind. But be careful, because if you go too hard, you can, like, you know, overthrow and lose balance. So you don't want to do that either. Okay, we'll talk about that later when we'll talk about like comboing off. You can use your forward momentum in combo, so you're still, like, you know, in a controlled motion or, you know, I'll show you some different options to come out of it. But once again, let's do so let's get back to the front uppercut. So you're here in your stance here. Now when I'm here, okay, actually I usually want to keep this one a little bit ahead, right? So they don't actually, you know, push one into the other. You know what I mean? If something should happen there, then at least it's in front. So I want to keep it a little bit like that. Now I'm making a move down, right? See how I come down? Once again, this whole thing stays together. And then I just come up and I torque through. Now notice that I don't get that larger, like, background motion because the hip is not in the back, it's in the front. So I only have, right, this little torque I can make, and I still have that shoulder in there pretty good. Yeah? Yeah? So that's the forward uppercut. You can also go, right, you can combo it and do multiple uppercuts if you want. So you can hit into, right, you can do like that as well. Some people actually, there's some boxers that specialize in maybe an up jab, right, like this. That also opens certain things up. Okay, so let's talk about using the uppercut in combinations. So the classic, well, the most classic combination is, of course, the 1-2, right? 1-2, right? And actually, if I'm going to do 1-2 or 1-2, right, even though the footwork is the same, this does feel faster to me. For me, it's faster. Maybe some other people, because of the different way that the joints are inserted and musculature and stuff, it's possible someone may have a faster, like, you know, motion like that. But for me, look, this is just a lot faster for me to drop this hand in, right? It's moving downward. But this one's like got to fight gravity, so it's a little bit slower. Yeah, for me. Now when I'm coming in, the classic one is 1-2, so you can always go 1-2, right? If you think about it, right, what's going to happen is either you pop them back, right, and then you get a nice little lift there to further pop them back. And once the musculature has been compromised, trying to absorb that first blow, right, then you really get to crack them open. So that's a nice one, right there, right in there, just like that. But let's take a look at another classic, right? So you have that built up, but right after that, usually after the uppercut, yeah, you teach people to do the hook. So, you know, you pop them up, and then you twist the head, and then you get the knockout, right? That's the knockout zone. So you make it nice and available. Also, you'll see that a lot of times in boxer fighting, especially like, you know, Conor McGregor, he likes to keep his hand out there so he can really, right, measure where it is and get a nice feel for it. So when you are getting a feel for it and you pop their head up right there, right, it's kind of like almost like a swivel doll, or, you know, like you get to feel it real good, so you can really come in, and as it's coming down, like kind of guide it into your hand right there. So that's pretty cool to have that hook come in right after that uppercut. So this uppercut, and then you hook right into it. You see how it's right there in that spot for me. I'm setting it up just so I can bang it right there. And if I don't feel like the head is there, then I can delay it. Or if the head's coming back quick, I can punch earlier. So you get a tactile response right there, which is nice. All right, so let's talk about what else we can do in the uppercut. So the thing is that when you're entering, right, when you're entering the gap, it's often called, right, your opponent's right there, and then there's a moment right there where they're in range. You're out of range, right, and then also you're in range. And in that moment, right, you want to be able to get into range faster than the other guy and have your strike moving before he can react and banging him up. Or you might try to counterattack, right? You're in there and you back out like real quick, so he throws him at the punch, he's coming back, and then you're pouncing in and then, duking him up. So the thing is that sometimes you're making, right, as you enter the gap, you'll be making some kind of like a, an evasive move, right? You want to be moving, right? You can be moving in any direction, this way, this way, this way, this way, right? Down, right, up, back, you have like a lot of different moves. So let's talk about the uppercut as in terms of, I think, lateral movement. We really talked about before about the forward motion in, right? And that's really the step here. So that's really in a forward, back and forth motion. That's like the gap right there. It's super important. But as you're in the gap, right, you might want to come down. So, right? And you notice that I threw my hands this way, right? Yeah. Sometimes I could come down like this too. Yeah, I could come down like this and, keep the whole unit together. So there's a couple different options in that. It depends on what you're anticipating your opponent's going to do. Right? If I think they're going to shoot in, I might get my body out the way, but use this to like establish some control or grab them because I anticipate they're coming in. So I might do that, or I might push myself behind it, and you might have a front kick coming in. You don't know. So you just want to be keep changing it what they see. You don't want to give them something predictable. So if I come in, right? Remember, they're probably the most frequent move would be the jab. So you could move under it, right? And then as you move under it, you're really torqued for this punch right there. So any motion that goes down, right, kind of sets you up, and then it even can give you more power into your punch. So you're moving down, right? Right there, yeah? You move down into this direction, and then you unleash. If you want to, right, another thing that I like to do is, remember, I'm assuming their hand is like this. There could be in other ways, and you just adjust it as necessary. But I'll be there, and then right, you can see that their arms there, they're fighting in southpaw in the mirror. But what happens is, right, but if they're facing the other way, let me just take a look at how that looks. Okay, I would be grabbing their backhand with this hand, right? Yeah, I could grab the backhand. And then I have to watch out for that front hand right there, but I know that's not the power hand, it's not ideal, yeah? In fact, I'm usually going to be actually whacking the front hand or trying to establish some kind of control on it. So, yeah, if I can grab that hand, yeah. Yeah, so imagine they're like this, right? And then what's going to happen is, from my other stance, I'm going to reach out and grab this hand and pull them down and try to pull their head into my uppercut, right? So look at this right here, yeah, standing here, right? I grab their hand, right? I could even try to, like, if I miss, right? Remember, you want to have contingencies. So I come out like this, right? And I might just knock it out the way, right? And I just, and then this, as I get pulled down, right, I'm pulling them into the punch, yeah? You could do it the other way. I could just bat their hand out the way and then just come with that punch right there, yeah? Right? Now the thing is that I want to keep my hand right here. I want to bash it out the way so it's right here to protect myself again, because remember, they might be coming straight down here and that would be a problem. So bat that hand out the way, right? Yeah? And then right here, and then just, as the hand goes down, right? Hopefully they get left like that exposed, and I'm just ramming it right up and putting the head on a strip. Right? And then after I go like that, then I'm right into the hook again. Remember, that's the combo, right? Uppercut, hook. So when you're practicing your combos, right, left, right, uppercut, hook, right, or left, right, uppercut, hook, right? You want to try those different patterns. Uppercut, hook, bam, right over the top, right? They're on their way back, falling, and I'm falling them right over. Also make sure that when you train too, that you're running in. You don't have a lot of space here, but when you hit them, right, like they should be falling backwards if you're hitting them with any force, right? They're falling backwards. So as you're hooking them, you might have to like really practice leaping forward, right? And then throwing that hook. And you could use like, different targets, like, double end bag, things like that, to really chase it down, or use someone with pads who's moving backwards at a high rate of speed, right? Chase them down and try to make that connection. And then as you hit them, right, and they start to, if they're moving back that fast, they may be falling. Yeah, they might not be, but you want to come right over, yeah, and just drop it right in their face. And then hit some more uppercuts, yeah. And just get them against the, get them against the ropes and start banging away. So, yeah, that's the uppercut right there. Some different combos you can use it in. Some different tips. Hope that was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. This is a little bit of a more advanced technique, so your footwork and stuff like that, your jab should be, and your cross should be pretty much mastered before you try to pick this trick up. All right, thanks for checking us out. I hope you guys see you on the next one.